4 billion, and all of it was warranted to be spent on detention facilities in the financial year. This is what the auditor found out. During my inspection of detention facilities in 42 police stations, I observed that a total of 362 suspects had been detained for more than 48 hours, with stations such as Kasangati and Nakasonga police stations having suspects in custody for more than 2 weeks. Appendix 2, honorable colleagues. So you are detaining people above the Constitution. You are busy abusing the constitutional provision. And I have a concern for where one of the police stations being mentioned is Kasangat. It happens to be a police station near the president of National Unity Platform, and where Dr. Baisiji earlier, because of his activism level, they reside around that area. So in that could be the reason why you are detaining people there more than 2 weeks. Yet the law says 48 hours allowing a person before the courts of law. Acting.
We have a composite team here.
Who is in charge of that?
We have CID here, and maybe we'll just give you an experience of what happens and in such circumstances.
Is it the directorate of CID, or we want the director responsible?
Director CID should give us
Director CID, where are you, sir? On detention of prisoners. Oh, they're not even of suspects.
I do.
What does it say?
Suspects to be detained for 48 hours.
So what happens?
And in such a situation, the file could have been with either the DPP, but I'm not aware of the specific case. So
no, the cases are not even few. 300 and a sample. How many police stations do you have in the country?
Police station.
Country, you don't know the number. Who is the director planning, accounting officer?
the answer.
Okay. On police stations?
Yes.
How many do you have?
2,000.
Now, 2,000. The director just sampled the 42. I mean 42. And out of 42, the auditor made a yield of 362. Just in 42 out of 2,000 and what? A quick mathematician like Honorable Chomo Nandala would give us 42, the 100%, by an approximation. How many people in Uganda? Because out of 42 polling stations, you had 360 what? 62. So if we're to what percentage is that? Total number. So that you know the number of people. If it is 100% auditing, it's a probable, because it is based on a sample. But we can say 52. Isma, can you give me that total? They have 2,000. How many polling stations? 2,131. They sampled 42 and had suspect detained without trial above 48 hours, 362. So give us the total number out of the 2,000 and something, so that you know the number of people across the country you detain at police stations And some of the police stations you have are in shops without proper detention facilities. You detain there thousands of wananchi for more than 48 hours. So Director CID, explain, why are you abusing the Constitution?
Explained. Even the auditor notes there that there are logistical challenges relating to production of suspects in the courts of law.
Yeah, but
because it's a chain of justice. And
yeah, but there is something called a bond.
Yeah.
If you think you have not, there's something called a police bond to be aligned in the courts of. Give me a bond.
But yeah, if we had maybe a case by case, you'd get an explanation, because there are people who are habitual offenders and they give bond.
If they are habitual persons, then their files are with you, so you don't need much to process. Yes, if they are habitual, then I have a file with you. That's the only way you can have a record of me, that I'm habitually an offender. So you don't need so much to process. So those
but
things don't.
But on the advice of the DPP, who has sanctioned the charges, and then you produce in courts of law. And the chair, you also know instances where people have been produced in court, and the next day they are back on the streets, committing these offenses. Some of these offenses, chair, are these ones where probably you have been a victim of snatching a phone, getting this. It's not easy to produce the evidence, but they are committing crimes.
So you want to tell us most churches and the ones who are attaining above 1 week and above, they are around Kasangati?
Chair, Kasangati is just one of the places where
yes,
crime
the auditor noted that had detained for more than, with stations such as Kasangati and Nakasongola, police stations having suspects for more than 2 weeks. So what is special about Kasangati?
Chair,
President of the National Unity Platform, why?
Chair, you know, because of the limitations in space.
Because most phone snatchers are around CPS.
But Chair, when they are arrested, they can be taken to Kasangati. It depends on where there is availability of space for detention. Chair, it's not that whoever is in Kasangati is a resident of Kasangati.
I know even then, some of the, because we've been victims, of us who have been detained for more than that, for other reasons. But the question is, the law is very clear.
Chair, there is a report issued by the Human Rights Leaders for improvement on this area. This year, but we have improved.
Okay. Take these numbers and use that as a sample during the audit for more than 48 hours. And that is, at that given time, you had in custody about 18,815. Can I put it in Uganda? Mutwalo gumu kanana, murunana mukumi na batano. That one, those are the numbers at that time of the audit. That's not throughout the year. The audit, you could have over 18,000 Ugandans detained without trial for more than 48 hours unconstitutionally. How can those performances give you a good record for that?
Honorable Chair, it's not also true that every station has a cell, a detention facility. So if you use mathematical modeling, it will give you a wrong figure.
Okay, give us a right one.
The people who are detained are known because we get daily returns from these stations that have detention facilities. And that's why you are noting a congestion in Kasangati. You will not find it in, let's say, Butambala. If you asked today, how many people in detention?
Butambala, I know.
Yes, sir.
I know. I can call the DPC here. And I get, by the way, I know even in those villages, you are holding people for about, this is a cracker. First of all, the people are not working. You are denying production. and impeding economic. At police station, in a prison they work, but at police station they don't work. 2, when you detain people, and I'll tell you practically, when you detain people for more than 40 for those days, distortions is the order of the day. I don't know how many times we are required as MPs, give me some command, they want money at police stations. That's the order of the day. At the moment you are detained by the week, they sell your goat. Yes, Honorable Nandala.
Move a proposal, 1, that maybe we get these 362 suspects for detailed analysis to know what was the cause and why they stayed for more than 48 hours. Because also if the CID or whatever decided to keep somebody for more than 48 hours, it's not good. It's against the law. 2, I have an incident which I have seen the man, the boss in charge of dogs. Just a question to accounting: is a dog a police officer? And if it's a police officer and it has arrested somebody, how long do you take to because to decide the case of that police officer who arrested the person? I have a case I saw. A thief was arrested. Okay, a dog came to arrest a suspect of a thief who is believed to have stolen. But to decide the case, they were saying they were still investigating. So who investigated? Is it that police which arrested or some officers? Because I need also to understand what's the purpose of a police and how do you do the work of a dog which has arrested someone? Does it need more than 48 hours? I thought if a police officer should make a statement, that person should be taken to court. If it is a prison, goes to prison. So
Mr.
Yes,
Mugume,
Chair,
please
I
extend
got the
that.
question properly.
Chair, I guess that our guests may be hungry.
has arrested somebody. Police. Question number 1: is a dog a police officer? And if it's a police officer and that has helped to arrest, how long would you take to decide on that after the police officer has made the statement? That, of course, the police officer, the dog has made a statement. It means the person has stolen, be taken to court, either committed to.
Thank you, Chair. But they aid investigations. Even in cases where the dogs have performed work, they go through the normal course of investigation. A person is still innocent until proved guilty. You have to get the so-called, process the scene of, process the exhibit. Investigators have to conclude the investigations, submit files to RSA for sanctioning, and police a person to court. Our work is to support the investigations.
Mr. Chairman, I never said the person is guilty. He always says you are not guilty until proved guilty. So how long would you take to keep somebody in police cell where a dog has aided you instead of committing the person to court so that the court process can start?
Together, the work of the dog handler stops there. He only appears when he is called in court to testify.
Honorable Goretti.
Thank you. The accounting officer and the team made a response to this detention beyond 48 hours is too casual. Honorable Chair, when you look at the gravity of the matter and the response that was given, very simple, casually, the request for additional budget, the accounting officer made a response that the auditor's observation is recommended and noted. Thereafter, they said the request for additional budget to cater for police operations is captured in the ministerial policy statement. Honorable Chair, detention beyond 48 hours is one of the factors under fundamental human rights. You detain people beyond 48 hours, and this is noted by the auditor, you just take note. Honorable Chair and colleagues, I want to remind you of the time when when Kaihura was the IGP, General Kaihura. He made a proposal that people can be detained or suspects can be detained beyond 48 hours because of the inadequacies in police. For me, I think the police is indirectly implementing the proposal, Hura. No, you are indirectly doing it because, Chair, you cannot at any time casually respond to, because you've just told us that you've automated these machines that collect revenue from us on the road safety. We thank you for that. But people have been complaining about, for example, the files, the way you open up cases. You don't have paper, and we've labored to buy for you papers. We even labor to give you transport to come for suspects in the field. So, Chair, when you look at the inefficiencies in police, right from the time of investigation of suspects, you arrest people before you've even done your part as police to find out whether it's the right time to arrest. So, Chair, for me, I would have thought police would have given a more look at your response. You would have had a better response than casually telling us that you've noted. So for me, I thought you would have brought up the inefficiencies in your system that let you fail to handle suspects within the 48 hours. You've always complained about not having fuel. All those we note. But we always give you fuel. We've been giving you fuel to give your team fuel to come for suspects in the field. So, Chair, we note that police has challenges in the automation system of opening up files. First of all, it is very manual to the extent that you cannot even buy papers and books for opening up cases. We've bought them for you severally. So for me, I think the accounting officer needs to come out with on this matter, because this is the beginning point of the responsibility of police. Not well handled, then you have no business. So you cannot offer timely justice. Remember, you are arresting people who have families, people who want to work for their families, and able-bodied youth. Chair, you find political prisoners that were arrested in police, and 6 months somebody is within the police unit, moving up and down within the police unit, 6 months. So you cannot casually, Chair, the accounting officer is very unfair to us by casually responding to this very, very important matter to the police.
Accounting officer. Charge, apologize. You heading the team. Now I mean this officer here, head of, this is not purely your work, accounting officer. Can you apologize?
Chair and honorable members, before you ask me to apologize, you see the cases given, it goes case by case. 2, you raised a point that some officers use it as a method of extortion. That's the reason why we have PSU. And we have got these cases, those officers charged. So it's not that police is seated watching. No, handle each case by case. Some are murder cases, capital offenses. So for me to apologize, I might now, I'm handing over the officers to the public, and they may not do their job in such a kind of capital offenses. However, we promise that we always work hard to improve in all cases. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Query sustained.
We have, and the audit also noted. So we have always come to appeal to Parliament at appropriation to get funding, and we deal with these challenges.
But I've sustained the query. Unless you want to chair the meeting, sir. Can we proceed to 3.2? In police, the auditor sampled 60 districts out of 100. I selected a sample of 60 of the 184 police districts divisions for field inspections across the whole country to assess the conditions for detention cells, and observed that in all the 60 policing districts, the male cells were too congested beyond the built holding capacity, as shown in Annex 3. Is Annex 3 there? So the question is, they were all heavily congested. and not taking them to prison, they pile up. You see, you can speak about financial, but our wananchi want you to speak on these issues because they directly affect them. They may not understand the billions we are to analyze, but they understand when they are put in prisons, in cells.
Honorable Chair,
Detention facilities for the male, female, and juveniles.
Query
And,
sustained. You have next question. 3.3. Non-separation of suspects in detention. I think this is. Can't drop it. There's an explanation they will give on that. Non-separation of suspects in detention facilities.
Chair, I've just explained that we had challenges in the old structures where police is and mostly where we are renting. But where police has constructed our own office, we have separate cells for male, female, and juveniles.
But listen to that table. Out of the sampled stations across the region in the country, of which the auditor assessed, only 11 stations, 15%, had detention cells for all the 4 categories, as summarized in the figure below. Honorable colleague, interest yourself. Police stations with the cells for all the 4 categories of suspects were only 11. Of the 72, 2 police station with only male cells, 1. Police stations with only male and female built cells, 36. Police stations with male adult, female adult, and male juvenile police cells, 21. Police stations without any detention cells, 3. So where do you detain people without a detention cell?
Yeah, that's what I was explaining at the beginning, that not all stations have detention facilities.
But you are detaining people.
They are transferred to the nearest station which has the facility.
So what an explanation? Because this is, I got to understand that language. They know the cells they go to.
Chair, this is a budget challenge, as the auditor has noted, and the reason we are appealing to Parliament ever to give us ample provision.
Chair.
Hello?
Chair.
So you put younger children with old men and women?
Chair, I'm getting disappointed, as if, but whatever question you raise, you don't answer. Where is the value for 400 billion? Everything is not tackled, is not done, and these are concerns from Ugandans, and we are. So remember, whatever commitment or whatever explanation you are going to make, is what we are taking down there. If you say you are going to construct 48 hours, you are going to amend the 48 hours, that is what we are taking down there. So please, can you respond as if you are responding to Parliament of Uganda and you are responding to Ugandans down there?
Honorable.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Moses Kabusu from Kalangala. Mr. Chairman, on detention beyond 48 hours.
We finished that.
No. First wait. There are people who are arrested, and because the detention centers they are expected to be detained in cannot house all of them, then they are taken to either nearby or convenient detention centers, and they are ignored there as lodgers. When lawyers go probably to fight for their rights to benefit from either release on bond or otherwise, in those detention centers, wherever they are, they tell them they are lodgers. We don't handle their matter. And until the people who brought them will come and find them. Mr. Chairman, I also wanted to know, Do they continue to be eating their food as long as the other people who brought them will come for them? And why is it continuing to be done as that?
Yes.
The women, pregnant women, the young children, and also the unsafe and clean environment, which risks the life of babies. Honorable Chair, yes, we know the police has issues of financial constraints, but I know the numbers of such detainees are not so high. So for me, I would have thought that police would have prioritized, because, for example, if we would ask, how many pregnant mothers do you detain? Sorry, pregnant women do you detain in terms of numbers? And how many women do you detain with children? Because this is a special group. You cannot have these mixed in elders. You cannot, by all standard. We agree you have issues. But Chair, still for me, I'm emphatic on the casual responses of the accounting officer. When it comes to these responses, we do appreciate issues of your budget, but this is not how these issues would have been brought out. So Chair, for me, I'm still convinced that the accounting officer is hiding information deliberately. You are hiding information, and because police knows Parliament cannot do anything, that is how you take it. We can't do anything even if you give a fake response.
Chair, I observed this last week in my constituency. Ladies are not separated from men.
Okay, Honorable Sarah.
This has a construction unit, and if it really looks at this as an issue, a priority, it will definitely construct those structures, however small they may be. It is really a shame that in this era and time when the population of Uganda has greatly increased, that we have, these are samples, a sample, out of a sample of 72, only 11 facilities have the various cells for the children, for the women, for the men separated, implying the others do not have. It is terrible, Chair, and I cannot imagine that the police smartly dressed in front of us here with men and women mixed can have women and men mixed in one cell. Maybe we start with you today. We can hold you in our cells, men and women, for just one day, and you experience it. No, maybe we start with, yes, and then you experience it. Then it is only when you have...
Can you move the committee?
Yeah, maybe that's the way to go. Because I can't imagine a police cell with the children, with the adults, male and women, men and women, and children, they are mixed. What? Why can't you think outside the box?
Can I? Because if you
think about, I know most of them actually use that. It is terrible.
Do you know what? Because the country may not know a bucket system. A bucket system means that in the night, even during the day, these police cells don't have toilet facilities. So they put a bucket. That's where they, can I put it in proper language? That's why you urinate, that's why you defecate. And do you know the numbers? Let's go to the numbers. The Auditor General noted he sampled 60 police stations with cells and realized 19 out of 6 sample did not have, we are still using the bucket system. In this era and age, and there you are holding male, female, young, old in one cell using a bucket.
Prioritize cells for these offenders. Even unipods, you would rather put a unipod there, which is readily available, by the way, than having these children mixed with women and men. Some people might leave the cells pregnant, and you are actually now causing domestic violence. Somebody leaves the cells pregnant, carrying the pregnancy of some fellow whom he found in the cells. That's why we are having all these challenges of people demanding for DNA. You are actually causing domestic violence in homes. So, Chair, the police should actually get serious. It is your work to enforce law and order. And in enforcing law and order, definitely you carry out arrests of offenders and lock them up or put them in custody. Why haven't you prioritized these detention cells? If you can take unipods everywhere, why can't we have unipods in those areas where you have not yet constructed adequate cells? So can we get assurances that this is going to be a priority moving forward from the police leadership?
Honorable Kugonza, and then we get a response.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Be very helpful. If police today would tell us the detention capacity that we have across the country, and we look at the gaps based on the numbers that they continue to receive. Because this is happening, and going forward, this probably would help the country to actually look at how can we address the challenge. Because it's quite huge. For looking at what is shared with us, it's a very bad situation. But we need to understand from their side the capacity. And certainly, they can only do that when the resources are available, but also from their side when they do prioritize this particular important activity.
For me, Chair, I observe, look at their budget. They received 98% of their budget. But for me, I think the challenge is with prioritization. Because when we have the Honorable Chagulanyi moving somewhere, you will heavily deploy, you will buy tear gas, you know. So this means instead of concentrating on some of these ones, yes, we appreciate you have to give security. But at times you give it excessively. You give in excess and you leave critical areas. So, Chair, we need to look into how police prioritizes. Because you find the budget of tear gas overshoots. When you look at these other critical areas, they are underfunded. So we need also to pick interest on how police spends the 98% of its budget, fully released. We've seen entities here getting only 50% of their budget, but for them they are lucky, 98%. But for me, I think the challenge is with prioritization.
Police information. This was a sample, for example, of baskets. And these police stations in Uganda are still using a bucket system. It's very primitive.
Chair and members, thank you for support implied, because the person tells us that really no one can stand that. I will start with the desegregation of these police cells for each individual category. The fact that the sampling didn't find each police station with the desegregated cells actually does not mean that we had women with males, children with adults at that time. Categories are the ones that qualify for bond as quick as possible.
Where is the Honorable Nandala? Honorable Nandala, just of PAC here for ages, but police station that still largely uses bucket system. Majority were in Gulu East Division, Mbale Central Police Station, where you were permanent resident, Hoima, Rwanda, and can you go through the detail on that sheet, Vice Chair? So that you
the police stations that use a bucket system are in rural, but as you observe here, some of them are in town. Kamuli, CPS, and other stations, they use a bucket system. In Kamuli Division, Kamuli station is Kamuli CPS and other stations. Mbale, the station is in Mbale.
Where the former speaker used to come from. Okay.
Then we have Palisa CPS and other stations. We have Hoima.
That is Deputy Prime Minister.
Yes, we have Hoima West Division and other stations.
That's where the Minister of Finance comes around Bunyoro. Go ahead.
Yes, Hoima again. We have Hoima East Division and other stations. Still Hoima, where the oil city has Hoima Road Division and other stations with a bucket system. So the district with the highest bucket system is Hoima. That should be noted. Then you come to Chikuwe, CPS and other stations, bucket system. Mbarara North and other stations, bucket system. Kabarore, Fort Portal North divisions and other stations. Ruchiga, CPS and other stations. Kasese, CPS and other stations. Rwanda, CPS and other stations. Moyo, CPS. Maracha, Aivu East Division. Terego, CPS. Obonji, CPS. Ajumani, CPS. Gulu, CPS and Gulu East Division. These are the areas, Honorable Chair, that still use a bucket system as a toilet facility.
Now you are clear. I thought
Honorable Nana.
Mr. Chairman, for me, I was quiet because I'm a victim and in cell. And as Moses said, Tororo said, you are just here eating our food. You are just a lodger. You are from another station. And I stayed there with the small boys. By the way, I was keeping quiet. The small boys are the one who taught me how to stay, because they helped me. Otherwise, I thought I had no pillow to put on my head. They brought a bottle of water. It acted as a pillow. So even the small boys who were underage helped me. So for me, where people can mix, I have no problem because I've ever been saved. Now, for Sarah saying men and women, if a woman does not produce and goes in a cell and gets pregnant, it's also very good.
Members, I was emphasizing that that's the reason why we give children and females bond where we don't have those facilities. However, the new stations that police is constructing, we have taken care of that consideration, and therefore we expect to phase out the bucket system, and the statistics show that earlier on it was much higher, but currently we have been able to reduce that one.
Can you give us the number as of now? How many stations in Uganda are still? This is the sample. Can you give us? Because you see, this matters helps to you. Lobby, but if you came to Parliament and said we need money to eliminate a bucket system, it's more urgent for tear gas.
Mr. Chairman, I also wanted to add. He says that
both at new establishments, but also the older ones, some of them are being considered for the same. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
You see, most of you, one, the top management of police, neither stay in the barrack. It is this, you never go through this, you'll never be detained. But we suffer this every day.
Chair, I wanted to say something. Chair, it is not true that for us we don't go to sales. We go. We are also candidates. Even we have relatives. So, as of in this issue of the bucket system, we are at 60% in terms of
okay,
of
for
phasing
purposes
it out.
of our record,
So,
can you submit
so
a
two,
list of all police stations still with the bucket system? And I'll tell this committee to put it in a gazette.
Mr. Chair, I also would like to say that...
are you going to submit in that list? Yes. A list of all police stations that are still using bucket. In the minimum, we can even speak about people mixing, but a bucket system. Even the one for it is. A list of them.
Yeah, we shall submit the list.
Okay, thank you. So you can continue.
Chair, I would also like to inform members that as Uganda Police, we have that program of removing the bucket system in the old stations, and in the new stations, all these categories are taken care of. Then about the issue that we don't look at the main towns, Honorable Chair, you need to understand that due to these changes that have taken place of cities, when you talk of Hoima has divisions. Those divisions are new stations, not the main station. So if you go to every city, you'll find it has division 1, division 2. That's where the challenges are. So they are like new districts to us in police, in terms of police structure. Thank you.
The other...
But Chair, as makes a submission, you should also respond to this issue of having, most of them are not flashing. They also use this casual of, powering water. You are very aware that this compromises the health of people that you've detained. And we observe that good water bills, that is why you don't want them to use, you deliberately defect the system because you want to reduce the water bills. What plans do you have to ensure that much as you might use flushing toilets, to use them effectively without this system of powering water?
All utilities generally has been explained before. We do rationing across the country. So between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. we switch off water and power as a mitigation measure for the low budget provision we have. 8 and 5. So you are going to find it across, and we have raised this issue before, even in our committee of the sector. So that is a measure we have adopted across, even in the barracks, not only in the cells, even for our personnel, our own personnel. So we are not doing it because of being insensitive, like members, I think, are getting the impression. We are just constrained to take certain measures because of the constraining environment in which we operate.
All right.
Chair.
The query is sustained. We want to now the next one is
Chair, before I went to the barracks one time, just a month ago, and I was surprised and shocked to see that our own Uganda police, who are supposed to be taking care of our people, maybe in cells, are sleeping in very bad condition. Actually, houses are even worse than the cells. It was raining, and it was raining on everyone in the house. And these are the officers who are supposed to be taking care of the people in the cells. Chair, so PS should also be telling us what plans they have for their officers who are sleeping outside, actually.
Honorable, good for concern. That is the whole reported on. It's reported
Mr. Chairman, I think the right question we would be asking here, has police submitted requests for this type of say, removing the bucket, having building houses for officers? Anyway, you have been a member of budget committee for a long time. Maybe you'll be able to help us, and even on security. Have they been submitting, and what has Parliament done? Because until you are taken to prison, you may never know that prison is also people there. Until you have gone to court, you will not know that even in court there are issues. So you, Chair, would be asking police to submit what would be rational, so that it's like we did to asbestos. When we wanted to remove asbestos from all of government installations, we came here, passed it, and made a budget, all were removed. Also, the way we want to remove these toilets, buckets, and whatever, we do it. Because if a policeman slaps you, don't think he's slapping you because he wants. It may have slept where there's rain on him, so the anger he comes with is from where he's sleeping. How he eats, how he does what. So I think it will be important. You ask the accounting officer to provide what is doing, and we deal with it.
Yeah, but honorable colleagues, these accounting officers are given a budget ceiling. Budget ceiling. You prioritize. These have never been your priority. And I knew them, even asbestos you were talking about. Some of the police stations up country, there was asbestos, especially where actually most of them I found it in a prison. Prison, it's not with you, in a prison. Those things are still there. So, honorable colleagues, you don't seem like you have an now. The next query was query sustained. The next query was on health facilities. With the basket and blah blah, do we need to discuss health facilities? They are inherently dead. So we'll take you by your response. And the query is sustained. But we go to, because I've seen your management of health facilities, let's go to management of your 4.0. Management of your transport facilities. Out of the 60 polling police districts selected for fiscal, one operational vehicle. 29 police stations had at least 2 operational vehicles. 4 police stations had 3 operational cars, and only 1 polling station had 4 operational cars to use for the force to reach out to all. Details are below. Roundabout, there are very equipment there, targeting to tear gas wananchi, while we don't have even police vehicles to go and fight common criminals. Honorable colleagues, is there anyone with a query on that?